Hey, healthcare leaders, I've been talking recently about mindset, emotional intelligence, and accountability, but today I want to talk about clear and concise communication in the midst of chaos. That's important because if you ever wondered how to communicate your vision with clarity and confidence, especially when everything around you is going crazy, yes, sometimes we struggle with getting our message across with clarity. And I bet there may be some leaders that listen to me, and sometimes you struggle getting your message across with confidence. Well, today I want to talk about how do we clearly communicate with confidence in a chaotic environment. It doesn't even mean that just has to be healthcare. It could be in any leadership role, in your home, in your business, etc. We must clearly communicate with confidence in sometimes a chaotic environment. I can almost guarantee you that there are going to be points and times in our leadership careers, again, whether it be in business or at home or whatever it may look like, where we are going to experience chaos. But then how do we give clear communication during that chaos to where everybody tunes in and they understand the mission and the vision and how to achieve the results? That's where I want to spend the next few minutes talking to us about and helping us learn a leadership method that I've been learning about from Coach Alex Lyon and others, and it's called the PrEP Leadership Method. So first of all, we're going to talk about communication in the workplace. Communication in the workplace. And in this is the PrEP method. So communication in the workplace, and in this is the PrEP method. So when we think about what is the PrEP method, first of all, it takes the right mindset, as I've been teaching on other videos, that we have to be great up here with the mindset to know that clear and concise communication is important. And I will tell you, whether you're talking in the boardroom or having a one-on-one staff meeting with someone to help coach them and mentor them, or even sometimes during those difficult times of accountability, they should never leave the room wondering what you said. Clear and concise communication is not optional in leadership. So let's talk about the PrEP method and what it means. So when we look at PrEP, and again, learning this from a communication coach, Alex Lyon, and others, PrEP means to give the point. PrEP means to give the point. R means to give the reason. So we look at R is the reason. E is the example. Let me just circle that O just a little bit more. And then P is to come back to the point. So what does this mean in our leadership careers? And let me give you an example of this, especially in healthcare leadership. Let's say that I have a need for staffing in the emergency department. The first point of PrEP is to make the point and let the need be known. Tonight, I have a need for 2 RNs. Sounds simplistic, but if people don't know the point of the communication of what you're getting ready to say, they won't know what the needs are. And so we must define what we're trying to say. And in that, we have to be mindful that the way we release the information, it's important how people decode that information being received. And I suggest that we keep it simple as simple can be. Not because people can't understand anything other than simple, but again, you don't want people to walk away or not know exactly what you mean. So, point is, I have a need for 2 RNs on night shift. That's my point. I've got a need for 2 RNs on night shift. Well, then when I give the reason why, I want to let people know why we have this need, the point that I just made. So if I go back to the example of the ER, I could say we have a 20% increase in patients in the emergency room, and that means that the wait time has increased to 4 to 6 hours. So now I'm explaining exactly why I need 2 more RNs on the shift so I can decrease the wait time for patients that need care. Again, it may sound simplistic, but if people don't know the why or the reason that I have 2 RNs on night shift and the demand happening right now in the emergency room, that there are people waiting 4 to 6 hours, I can't appeal to them and let them know exactly why I have this need. The other would be is to give to the example. For example, today I had a 90-year-old patient who had to wait in the emergency room greater than 90 minutes, and this puts outcomes at risk. It actually puts the patient at risk. And if nurses are working in healthcare for the right reason, they will see that we need to reduce the risk of our patients who are having to wait an extended period of time, and make sure that hopefully they come in to help to reduce the burden of all the influx of patients coming into the emergency room, so we don't have this increased wait time and risk the safety of our patients. And then and it all ties into the point, by the way, so I want to make that, it all ties into the point. I want to make that clear, that I give the point, the reason why I've got an influx of patients in the emergency room. Here's an example. We just had a 90-year-old senior patient have to wait greater than 90 minutes, and it puts that patient at risk if we can't get 2 RNs to come in on night shift and help reduce the load that's happening or the wait times happening for our patients. Then we go back to the point and we close with the ask. Close with the ask. Now, my healthcare friends are going to understand this symbol, that it means with. We close with the ask. So we say, we need staffing support today to ensure patient safety. Now, realize what I just did. I outlined my need in the PrEP system. I have 2 RNs needed on night shift. I gave my reason why. There's been an influx of patients and they're having to wait. Wait times are up to 4 to 6 hours. Here's an example of what happened. We had a 90-year-old senior patient waiting greater than 90 minutes in the emergency room, and that puts patients at risk. And then my point being made, I just closed with the asking for staffing support today to ensure that we had patient safety. What I could say is in any leadership role, you can use this PrEP method, again, obtained by Coach Alex Lyon. You can use this PrEP method in any way that you communicate. But it's important that your communication is clear and concise, because this reason, with the influx of patients in the ED and the wait time going to 4 to 6 hours, this, as I want to say, is chaos. And so in the midst of the chaos that's going on right now, the midst of the chaos, how do I ensure that my message is clear? I could simply say, I'm short-staffed tonight, I need people to help. That doesn't give the message, a clear message of what do I need, how many nurses or whatever position it may be, what's the reason why, because we have either, let's say you're on a med-surg floor or surgery department or in manufacturing, whatever it may be, is I have, for instance, I'll say a med-surg floor, we have a census of 40 patients. And I need help. And so it goes on beyond that. It gives the reason. Then I give an example of patient safety concerns due to my census or what's going on in the ED. And this is why I need this number of staff members. And then I close with an ask of staffing support to come in to ensure that our patients are kept safe. I suggest that we could use this in many, many forms of communication, this PrEP method, because again, we have to learn how to appropriately communicate clearly and concise, and we can use the PrEP method. So let's think about this from a communication mindset, influence perspective in leadership. Because communication alone isn't just enough in a leadership role. Yes, it is crucially important, which is why I'm recording this video to help other leaders learn about the PrEP method in communication and give examples exactly how it looks. But communication by itself in leadership doesn't influence directly. we must have other things behind it, and that is the mindset to ensure that we're thinking about this method of clear communication all of the time. In a chaotic world, sometimes we will hurry in how we communicate, and it's not effective, and it doesn't achieve the results that we think we should get. In the example of the emergency room, if I just said I'm short-staffed, that doesn't really give anything. And let's say I'm short-staffed all the time, people don't know how many nurses that I need. They don't know what type of staff I need. They don't know what's going on at that point in time. How can they help? In chaos, we must have a controlled mindset, a growth mindset. Can I just add that in here, as I have said in my other videos? A growth mindset that sees this chaos as an opportunity to ensure that I bring in, or I get, or I influence what I need through this prep system in my chaos. So I wanted to provide that with you. Again, it also requires emotional intelligence of how we show up every day, because we are going to show up in chaotic situations every day in leadership, and it's important we have an appropriate mindset that controls our emotions of how we show up every day. In addition to that, we must own our own messages. So we must be accountable to ourselves and look at how our messages are impacting others. Is it simply the delivery? Is it simply how we're communicating and it's not being effective because of how we're delivering the message by not being clear? Or we may be delivering the message by having a wrong mindset or a fixed mindset, which is negative in nature. So here's our call to action. How can we, you and I, use the prep system learned from Coach Alex Lyon and others to better communicate starting today? That's our call to action. Can we take some time to look at our mindset to make sure we're prepared to realize that every time we're communicating, we're giving a point, we're given the reason, we're giving an example of our need, and then we're closing again with the point. That's what we should do. The other thing I would say is very simply is share this with other leaders. Let's create a movement together where we're all committed to better communication, because communication is crucial in our environment. But it's not alone. We must have the right mindset, the growth mindset, be emotionally intelligent, and accountable to ourselves in the delivery. I'd ask that you like, subscribe, and share this video with others. And let's join together speaking our mission clearly so we can achieve great results in our leadership role. As we serve together, Dr. Jeff.